The recipe that we're going to demonstrate for you now is called vegetable couscous, and it goes beautifully with the recipe that we have just finished, which was bean provençal. But you can use it, of course, by itself too. And as the name says, we are going to use couscous. Jade, are you familiar with couscous?
No, Sibilla, I haven't actually used couscous. If you ask me about rice variety, yes. I can tell you about that. But couscous is very new to me. Right. I'd love to always use it, but I'm not sure how to cook it or how to prepare it. So can you tell us how we can actually use it in our cooking?
Yes. And this recipe is particularly easy because you don't have to steam the couscous first. With most recipes you do. And I will share with you exactly what it is that you need to do to rehydrate it, and it's very easy actually, and that is equal quantities of boiling water and dry product. Okay. And you just steam it for a few minutes, so you don't have to cook it. Right. Because it's already cooked. And you might say, well, what is this made from? It's made from durum wheat, which is the wheat that is used for pasta. And so really it's like granulated pasta.
That's excellent.
Yes, and it's already cooked and you just have to steam it. But today we're going to cook this recipe, and the recipe, the way it's designed, the couscous will steam itself. So that's really quick and easy too. Going to just use, again, just a teaspoon of oil. You do not need to have lots and lots of fat when you're cooking. We are creatures of habit, aren't we? And most of us have been educated, and I guess you probably were too, by our parents and others who looked after us, that if you were to fry something, you've got to have lots of butter or fat in there.
To get a lot of flavour.
To get a lot of flavour. But we're going to show you, and we are continuing to show you, that you can have flavour without all of the fat. Okay, we'll put the onion in first, and this has been just cut up very finely because of the type of recipe that this is. You don't want large pieces, however, that is something that you can adjust yourself. And we are going to use some dried herbs, and this is basil. And we're also going to use a little bit of crushed garlic. And so as I've done before, once this onion starts to soften a little, we'll pull that aside and we'll dry roast the herbs and the garlic because, as we've said, that gives you such a good flavour, a better flavour than if you just put it in all together. And flavour is important, isn't it? I'm sure it is to you too. So we'll scrape that aside and put in the little bit of garlic. Just freshly crushed garlic, as well as the dried herbs, and that's a teaspoon of basil.
And was that a teaspoon of garlic as well?
It was a teaspoon of garlic. And you can buy garlic already crushed in little jars or in tubes, and you can use that too. That's also quick and easy. Just 15 seconds. Just keep patting it so that it distributes over the hot surface of the pan. And that's enough. You actually will notice a beautiful aroma. If you keep going, you're going to burn it, and we don't want that to happen. And so we're going to put the other vegetables in here. We may put the nuts in first because they also need a little bit of dry roasting, don't they? Thank you, Jade. That's a half a cup of pine nut kernels. And they are particularly nice in this recipe. You can use other nuts or seeds, but these are pine nut kernels. It doesn't take very long for them to roast. Maybe, well, a little longer than the garlic and the dried herbs. Just maybe almost a minute. That's enough for these pine kernels to have a bit of a roasted flavour. We're also going to add the carrots. Now notice something about these carrots. They're very small.
They're baby carrots.
They're baby carrots. And you might say, why use baby carrots? Because they're very tender and sweet. They're the ones with the green still on them, but you can use any carrot you like. But we have used baby carrots because of the flavour. And some green beans. You can use frozen beans or fresh beans, whichever is available for you at the time when you do your shopping. And also some lovely celery. Thank you, Jade. Now that just needs to be cooked for a minute or so, again to develop the flavours. And while that's just heating up, let's have a look at what we've got in here. This is a vegetable stock. Now I've used water and I've used Micelle stock powder, which is a vegetarian stock powder without MSG. And also the sodium content is not quite as high, but you may have your own favorite, and you can certainly use liquid stock. You can also use water that you've got left over from your vegetables when you're cooking. So we need some stock, and this is 1.5 cups of stock. And into that stock I'm going to put a tablespoon of soy sauce. And again, this is all to do with flavor. You'll notice that we do not use very much salt in our recipes, but we do use ingredients that do have a sodium content like soy sauce. You can get salt reduced soy sauce. Now these vegetables are virtually ready, so before we put that in, we're going to add the couscous, and this is 2 cups of couscous. And by stirring it through so that you've got it nicely blended with the vegetables, you're not really frying it. What you're doing now, you're just blending it. See that? So that when we put the liquid on, you'd have patches of couscous and patches of vegetable if you didn't stir it. So
that looks very easy to make.
Yes, it is easy.
It's actually, in fact, easier than rice to cook.
Well, when you go home tonight, you might like to have a go at this.
We'll try it.
And pour this over, and you do need to now just quickly stir it through, because all you have to do now is to just steam it for 10 minutes, and you'll have a beautiful crunchy vegetable couscous dish. Just blend the liquid through the dry so that you've got it distributed nicely. Now that liquid will be absorbed by the couscous. We need to put a lid on this. It's all right. We'll put the lid on in just a moment. And so the liquid will be absorbed, and you'll have a beautiful recipe that is ready to serve with salad or with other vegetable protein foods. Thank you. And it's also very nice with that bean provençal, that recipe we have just demonstrated before this one. Thank you.